Hey, ladies. What's up? What's up? Hey, hope everybody's having a good Saturday. Everybody ate their lunch. Everybody's good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good today, guys. Waiting for y'all to kind of crawl up in here. I know there's a lot of things going on out there. Give you guys a couple of minutes to jump on in. And remember, everyone, tonight, Flawless Beauty. Remember, guys, tonight, Flawless Beauty is having her debut today. So don't forget to join her tonight at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, which would be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for all those that are on the West Coast, Pacific time, that would be 5:30 p.m. No, actually, 4:30 p.m. So 4:30 p.m. for the West Coast, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern time. Hey, Missy. Hello, Reverend Fat Boy. Poo Poo. Hi, Poo Poo. Flawless Beauty. What's up, Mama? And the truth. Hi, baby. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Oh, 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 oh. Well, there's a new motion. A new motion. A new motion. The defense, they're not having it. They're like, yo, 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 government. You gotta flow, Joe. You gotta flow, Joe. You gotta let them know, yo. You gotta flow, Joe. You gotta let them know, Joe. Oh, hey, Classy. Hi, baby. What's up, Classy Mama J? Oh, hey, oh. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? We love you, Larry. We miss you, Larry. Hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad everyone is in the building. For those of you that are not, you can watch the replay. Please make sure that you guys on your way in here, please press that like button. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the little bell next to the subscribe button. Put it on all so you can see everything that comes out. Even if you do, because sometimes, YouTube be bugging out with those notifications too. But hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hello. Missy. What's up, Missy Mama? Hi, baby. Now, the government has to answer to the defense. The defense team put in a motion today. They put in a motion today requesting that something be dropped and that to fix the questions on the jury questionnaire for the verdict sheet. So now they're like, they're not having it, I actually like this team that he has. He actually got some real lawyers in here working for him, that are really doing their job. Like I told you guys before, Greenberg was a lazy lawyer. He's about clout. He's lazy. He don't give a hoorah. It's about the money for him. Like Miss Gloria Rodriguez was saying, when you go to look for a lawyer, it's good to find the lawyer that actually cares about you and your situation and humanizes you and doesn't treat you like you're just some bank walking in, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no, he's just money. I'm going to take whatever. Okay, yeah, whatever. No. You have to develop some type of trust. Communications have to be open. You have to be able to talk to your lawyer. Hello, Miss April. Hello, Mama. You have to be able to talk to your lawyer. Your lawyer, no matter what, you might think that you can't tell your lawyer the truth, right? But if you are being charged criminally and he's a defense lawyer. You get yourself a defense lawyer for whatever it is. You expect that lawyer to be on your side, whether you're right or whether you're wrong. He's there to defend you. So the best thing you can do is to be honest with your lawyer. Tell your lawyer everything. Because how do you expect your lawyer to defend you the right way if he doesn't know the whole story? He has to know the truth and nothing but the truth, so help him God. He has to. There's a client privilege, lawyer, what is it? Lawyer-client privilege thing going on. You should be able to trust him that he's not going to say nothing no matter what he knows. That's the only way he's going to defend you the right way, is if you tell him the truth and you are honest with him. Because while you're fighting your case, he goes out there, all of a sudden they throw something at him and go, look, pow, look, this is what we got. But how come you don't know about this? Huh? And your defense lawyer's like, oh, shit. Then you got to go back to you and go, yo, why didn't you tell me about this, man? Well, I didn't think it was important, or I didn't think, it would matter. No. I want to know your whole life story. Everything. Don't leave shit out. I want to know your whole life story because I need to know that I can defend you with all that I got. So, R. Kelly, start being honest. That's all I got to say. Everyone who goes on the stand from now on, y'all need to be honest, man. And, some of these witnesses for the prosecution suck. I have to admit, some of them did. Yes, they did. I think maybe, who knows, maybe R. Kelly got to them or they grew a conscience. I just say people need to just start being honest on that stand. And if you're found to be perjured yourself, then that's your business. That's your fault. You should have been honest to begin with. So they put in, yes, they put in a motion, Miss April. The defense team put in a motion to, hey, Just V, what's up, mama? They put in a motion to knock out the bribery question because they just want the whole bribery thing out. And they also would like to change the question on a particular question for the verdict jury questionnaire. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Let me take off this comment. Hold on. Okay. Let me share my screen with you guys. I gotta get something to drink too. I forgot to bring my water with me. Okay, y'all. All right, guys. Can you see my screen? Let me see if I should make it a little bit bigger, maybe. Let's see. I think, yeah, that's good. Gather. All right, okay. So as you guys can see on the screen, this is coming from Mr. Scholar. Okay, so he's the one who put in this motion. And it was entered today, as you can see, September 18th, 2021. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me make sure it looks good on the screen. Okay. All right, you guys can see that? Awesome. Good. Great. My sound is good. Everything's good. Microphone check. We good? Okay. I'm going to go off the screen, guys. Okay. And I'm going to go in the chat on my phone. All right. Okay. So I can watch the chat from my phone. All right. All right, hello to everyone who has jumped in. Who else is in here? Let's see. Okay, hey, Poo Poo. Okay, Classy, Miss April. Just V, what's up, Mamita? Miss Toy! Hi, baby. That's right, Miss April Showers. You pay the lawyer to do the job. That's right. That's right. You know, so you have to trust your lawyer. Like she said, when you go shopping for a lawyer, you have to feel that connection, that chemistry, you know? Mom, hey, Mom. You have to feel that chemistry between you and the lawyer, you know? And I guess there was no chemistry with R. Kelly and Greenberg. Or El Otro, what's his name? Leonard. You know, there was no real connection with those lawyers. You know, he should have been fired them a long time ago. That's just my opinion. I was saying it a long time ago. He should have let them go, and he should have. You know, but it is what it is. At least they're working for him now. You know, so he might have a shot of getting off, huh? One never knows, right? You never know. Hey, you never know. It's all on the jury. It's all on how the prosecution presents their case, and it's all on how the defense cross-examines and presents their case, you know, as far as trying to break down the prosecution, you know, with their truth, right? This is a back and forth. That's what it is. It's a fight. It's a battle. It's a war. It's what it is. Okay, so yes, it'll win if he catch 40. Yes, it's a win for us if he catches 40. Yes, you know, at least that. All right, now let me go to the document. Let me get my water, and I'm going to go to the document. Okay. I keep hearing this weird sound coming out of my speakers. All right. So as I said, this is a motion that was put in by Mr. Scholar, R. Kelly's defense lawyer, and it was put in today, and it's to Judge Donnelly, and it says, "Dear Judge Donnelly, the defense submits this letter motion seeking an amendment of the proposed jury instructions." So they want to change it, you know, amend it, change it, right? Put in something new. The defense recognizes that the court directed the parties to submit joint proposed instructions. However, after a review of the testimony elicited at trial, the defense submits that the proposed amendments are required. So they're proposing that changes happen in here due to certain things that happened during the trial. Okay? So that's what that means, guys. Now, they're requesting number 16. Okay, that's the question on the jury questionnaire, the instructions for the juries for the verdict. It's part of the Racketeering Act 1 part, and it says that with respect to the Illinois statute for bribery, The proposed instruction currently reads that Illinois Criminal Code Section 5/33-1A provides in pertinent part that a person commits bribery when, with intent to influence the performance of any act related to the employment and function of any public officer or public employee. He promises or tenders to that person any property which he is not authorized by law to accept. The government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt each of the following. And these are the elements. Each of the following elements. First, that the person the defendant sought to influence was a public officer or public employee. Second, that the defendant caused another person to promise or tender property to the person the defendant sought to influence. And third, that the defendant did so with the intent to influence the performance of any act related to that person's employment or function as a public officer or public employee. So in other words, they're saying that act, that law, right, that's criminal code, it's talking about the bribery act and what it means. And in other words, it's saying that it has to deal with the direct influence from the defendant. But as we know, and what we saw in the testimony, right, reading the transcripts, that Demetrius Smith said that it was not R. Kelly. R. Kelly wasn't in the room. R. Kelly wasn't there. R. Kelly didn't get the money. R. Kelly didn't pay the guy. It was all Demetrius Smith and Darryl McDavid. I believe that's who he's pointing it at. Darryl McDavid and himself. You see, Demetrius is slick. You know, he's slick. He did that shit because he knew he had immunity. And he decided, well, you know what? Since I got immunity, they're not letting me plead the fifth. I'm just going to say he wasn't there. I don't remember what I said a long time ago. That was a long time ago. I'm old. I'm stressed. Leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered. Right? Auntie Ann was like, listen, dude, what is your issue, dude? Are you left or are you right? Are you in the middle? Are you up? Are you down? Which way are you? You're confusing me and everybody else. You look like you're lying. You look like you want to tell the truth. You're confused. You don't know if you want to go to jail. If you don't want to go to jail, you know. So he did whatever he felt was best for himself. And he figured he didn't want to really get R. Kelly in trouble. So just say, no, I'm the one that paid the guy. I'm the one that came up with the idea. I'm the one that did that. And he's the one that did that. But R. Kelly didn't do anything. He just came over to me and said, I think Aaliyah is pregnant. I'm in trouble. Can you help me? And he was like, I got an idea. The other one was like, I got an idea. We're going to do this. And this happened. R. Kelly, they told R. Kelly, look, this is what we're going to do, okay? They got their plans together real quick. Zoop, zip, 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 zip. Things happen. So they want to drop that. They want to drop that. So then it continues to say, however, the pattern jury instructions given by Illinois courts provide number 3, which is the pattern jury instruction, criminal 21.11. So criminal 21, section 11, I gather that's how they would say it. And it pertains to the jury instructions on the criminal cases about bribery. And in the definition of the bribery, it goes to say official, that it states that a person commits the offense of bribery when he, 1, promises or tenders any property, personal advantage to a public officer, a public employee, a juror, or a witness, with intent to influence the performance of any act related to the officers or the employees, the jurors, or the witnesses, employment or function. Or 2, promises or tenders any property or personal advantage to one whom he believes to be a public officer, a public employee, a juror, or a witness with intent to influence the performance of any act related to the employment or function of public officer, public employee, jury, or witness. Or promises or tenders any property, personal advantage to another person with intent to cause the other person to influence the performance of any act related to the employment or function of. See, now this is where this trips me up, because here in this part right here that it says promises, number 3, or tenders any property, says to another person with intent to cause the other person to influence the performance. So wouldn't that be Demetrius Smith? I need Miss Esquire. I need Miss Esquire. Hey, Wings. Hey, Chanel. What's up, ladies? Tasha. Hi, Tasha. Okay, anybody else walking the building? Ruby! What's up, Ruby? Ruby! Ruby, Ruby! Ruby, Ruby. Yeah, so what do you guys think about that? Right? It says here, now, because they're saying that because Demetrius Smith testified that R. Kelly wasn't indirectly involved in the bribery. He just knew they were going to pay somebody to do it. So he knew of the scheme, but wasn't really involved in the scheme. But here in number 3, it says that promises or tenders any property, personal advantage to another person with intent to cause the other person to influence the performance of any act related to the employment or function of the public officer, employee, juror, or witness. So what do you guys think of that? Do you think that pertains to Demetrius? Not sure about that. I don't know too much legalese, guys. But, I'm learning, and I don't know. That's kind of like what it says here to me, I assume. And then number 4 says that receives, retains, agrees to accept any property, personal advantage, knowing that the property or personal advantage was tendered, promised, with intent to cause him to influence the performance of any act related to the employment or function of the public officer, employee, jury, or witness. So this is on the receiving end, okay, which he received the documents that he paid for, right, which was the IDs. He paid for the IDs. He paid for the ID, shall I say. And then 5 talks about solicits, receives, retains, agrees to accept any property, personal advantage pursuant to an understanding that he shall improperly attempt to influence, the performance of any act related to the employment or function of a public officer, public employee, juror, or witness. The term public officer means a person who is elected to office pursuant to statute to discharge a public duty for any political subdivision of the state. And then the term public officer means a person who is appointed to an office who is established and qualifications and duties of which are prescribed by statute to discharge a public duty. So anyone, in other words, who works for the government. Let's just put it like that. Okay. Then it says here that on a committee note, there was an instruction and note approved January 26, 2018. They're trying to show an example. It says the 720 ILCS, which is Illinois Criminal Section 5 C33 1 217 and 218 West 217 as amended PA 97 effective January 1st 2013 when paragraph 1 used instruction, when paragraph 2 is used given instruction, when paragraph 3 is used given instruction. Okay, all right, so they're just showing examples of what the old instructions were in 2018 when they were approved. And now they continue, Scholar continues in his note to say that therefore, according to the Illinois pattern jury instructions, the person charged pursuant to the statute has to either promise or tender property or promise or tender property to another person. Okay, so that's what that was about. With the intent to cause the other person to influence the performance of official act. So in other words, like they're saying that R. Kelly had nothing to do with that. That had to do with Demetrius Smith. R. Kelly was not the one who received anything, and he is not the one who gave anything. He just knew of the grand scheme, but he didn't do anything per se. So he wasn't, they're trying to say he wasn't legally attached to this crime. Okay. So, and then that this is further illustrated by additional guidance provided by the Illinois pattern jury instructions. For example, and they talk about another part, okay, and it talks about the issues in bribery, all right, which is 2112. That's what they just showed an example of. And it's that the issues in bribery is that to sustain the charge of bribery, the state must prove the following propositions. Okay, the first proposition is that blank was a public officer, an employee, juror, or witness. And 2, that the defendant promised or tendered to the property or personal advantage, whatever it was, right? And 3rd proposition is that the defendant did so with the intent to influence the performance of any act related to blank's employment function, whoever this person is, which is the actual officer that took the bribe, right? So the first things first is that they should propose that the person, the officer that took the bribe, and the person that the defendant is supposed to be the defendant that gave him the money, and that the defendant did it with intent to perform any act related to his job, which is bribing the public officer to commit an illegal act, right? I gather that's what they're trying to say there. I don't quote me. I'm just saying what I think seems common sense, right? Then it says, if you find from your consideration of all the evidence that each one of these propositions has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. And if you find from your consideration of all the evidence that any one of these propositions has not been provided beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant not guilty. Okay? So now, Scholar, he's like, at the instant trial, the government called Demetrius Smith regarding the bribery charge. And on direct, Mr. Smith testified that he alone offered money to another person, that Mr. Kelly was not present when he discussed anything about money, and that he received the money from another person and not Mr. Kelly. And then it says trial sections 714, the trial pages 714 through 719. On cross-examination, Mr. Smith was asked the question, okay, now, Robert never had anything to do with you bribing anyone to get a marriage license. Am I correct? And Mr. Smith answered, no, he didn't. And that describes in the trial form, the transcripts 750 through pages 751. And they're saying that the count related to bribery should be dismissed. So in this motion, they want the bribery charge to be dismissed. So this is what this is about. They want this charge to be dismissed because they're supposed to prove that R. Kelly did these actions. He was the one who did the giving and got something in return. But in reality, he wasn't, because Mr. Smith testified that he wasn't indirect. He wasn't around. He knew of the scheme, but he wasn't there to do it personally. It was Mr. Smith and Mr. McDavid and the officer. So he continues to say that if the court, however, decides to submit the charge to the jury, it is clear that the government's theory is that the bribery was conducted through an intermediary was conducted through an intermediary. Okay. Okay, then it talks about 2112B and issues in bribery through an intermediary. Now, what that means is that is to sustain the charge of bribery, the state must prove the following propositions. Give me 1 second, guys. Hello, everyone who's just walked into the building. Hello, Miss Granny. Hey, Mertice. What's up, Delka? 1962. Hello. What's up, newbie? Hey, Vera. What's up, Miss Walker? Hello. Yeah, I know that's crazy, Miss April, right? Delka says, this is Fed, not state. Right. Under RICO, the beneficiary of the bribe can be charged. Yeah, that's why they're telling her now, listen, if you do decide to put it, you put it, but you gotta change it up a little bit. They're like, either you dismiss it, but if you don't dismiss it, you're gonna have to change it and do this.
I don't know how to make a server.
Mommy, they needed the ID because they needed to get the marriage license. Without Aaliyah having a ID, because they weren't gonna. You could either bring your birth certificate or a state ID. She couldn't bring the birth certificate, so they figured we'd get a fake ID for her. That's the way that we'll be able to get this marriage license so that we could get married. Because that you need some type of ID to get married. Remember, Aaliyah was only 15. She couldn't get a state ID. She wasn't 18 yet. So, yeah.
Hey guys, I don't know how to make a server because I'm not on PC, but can you play someone else's server? I made a chat tag.
Mertice, that's a good one. He got something in return. He married Aaliyah. Yeah. You're right. But according to the law, it's something different. According to us, yeah. According to our public opinion, he got something in return, damn it. He took her virginity. Are you kidding me? Lord have mercy. And that's enough for me to book him and slam him for the rest of his life. Like, yeah, that's enough for me. So now it continues. Let me go back. I'm going to go off screen again, guys. Okay. Just wanted to see what was going on in the chat. Say hello if anybody jumped in. So now they're saying that the first proposition should be that the defendant promised or tendered the property to blank, and that the second one is that the defendant did so with the intent to cause blank to influence the performance of any act related to, right? And then it says, if you find from your consideration of all the evidence that one of these propositions has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. And then it says that if you find from your consideration of all the evidence that any of these propositions has not been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant not guilty. Now it talks about another section which has to do with 720, the Illinois criminal statute, right? Criminal section 533.1, right? And this was approved in 2018. This is where they got this from, right? And now Scholar says that as illustrated by the Illinois pattern jury instruction, there are only two propositions. The proposed instruction would improperly provide three propositions. However, as demonstrated above, in any scenario, the defendant would have to tender property directly to the person bribed. Under 2112 of the statute, the criminal statute, right? or tender property to the person, a third person, with the intent to cause the third person to influence the official act. So the second part of the proposed instruction in this case currently reads, second, that the defendant caused another person to promise or tender property to the person the defendant sought to influence. Right. That's what I was saying. See, I knew I wasn't crazy. That's what I'm saying. So what are they? So they're like, okay, well, listen, if you don't, but if you do. Then he continues to say that, however, that is not a proper reading. He's like, wait a minute, but that's not how, that's not how it should go. He said that this is not a proper reading of the statute, nor would it appear to be an instruction that would be given pursuant to the pattern instruction. The defense submits that the jury instructions in the instant case regarding the Illinois statute should be guided by what the Illinois state legislator intended and what is properly given by Illinois state courts. The defense respectfully requests that the instruction be amended so that it reads that the defendant either promised or tendered property to the official actor or promised or tendered property to a person so that he or she could influence the official actor. So that's that. So he wants them to change it. You got to change it to make it say the right thing, or you got to dismiss it altogether. Basically, that's what they're saying there. That's their battle right there. Now, they're going to talk about the California Health Code, all right? And so I gather this is talking about the whole situation with the herpes, right? And then it says here, Jane Doe number 5, because this is an example of what was in the motion that the government provided pertaining to the jury questionnaire and the jury verdict sheets, right? So now the California Health Code, the California Health and Safety Code 120-290. It states that with respect to California Health and Safety Code, the proposed instruction currently reads that the government must prove beyond a reasonable doubt, first, that the defendant knew that he was afflicted with any contagious, infectious, or communicable disease. Second, that the defendant exposed himself to Jane Doe number 5 by engaging in unprotected sexual activity with Jane Doe number 5. And third, that the defendant acted willfully. And fourth, that the defendant did not inform Jane Doe number 5 that he had a contagious, infectious, or communicable disease and obtain her consent to expose him in these circumstances prior to engaging in the exposure. Now, Mr. Scholar says that, however, the text of the statute actually provides, and then this is the breakdown of what it provides in the text, right? And it says that in A1, a defendant is guilty of intentional transmission of an infectious or communicable disease if all of the following apply. 1, which is A, the defendant knows that he or she or a third party is afflicted with an infectious or communicable disease. You're the defendant knows that he or she or a third party is afflicted with an infectious or communicable disease. B, the defendant acts with the specific intent to transmit or cause an afflicted third party to transmit that disease to another person. Or C, the defendant or the afflicted third party engages in conduct that poses a substantial risk of transmission to that person. And D, the defendant or the third party transmit the infectious or communicable disease to the other person. And E, if exposure occurs through interaction with the defendant and not a third party. The person exposed to the disease during voluntary interaction with the defendant did not know that the defendant was afflicted with the disease. A person's interaction with the defendant is not involuntary solely on the basis of his or her lack of knowledge that the defendant was afflicted with the disease. Oh, Lord. 2, a defendant is guilty of willful exposure to an infectious or communicable disease if a health officer or the health officer's designee, acting under circumstances that make securing a quarantine or health officer order infeasible, has instructed the defendant not to engage in particularized conduct that poses a substantial risk of transmission of an infectious or communicable disease, and the defendant engages in that conduct within 96 hours of the instruction. A health officer or health officer's designee may issue a maximum of 2 instructions to a defendant that may result in a violation of this paragraph. B, the defendant does not act with the intent required pursuant to subparagraph B or paragraph 1 of subdivision if the defendant takes or attempts to take practical means to prevent the transmission. Okay, listen. Basically, he did all that shit. He did all that. Okay? Then it says the statute also provides that a defendant's medical records, medications, prescriptions, or medical devices shall not be used as the sole basis of establishing the specific intent required pursuant to subparagraph or paragraph of submission. So what were they supposed to use? What were they supposed to do? They did that. They showed his pharmacy records, his medical records. They even had the doctor testify. They even had somebody else come in and talk about herpes. Hello. Oh, Lord. Then Scholar continues to say, initially, the defense respectfully requests that the court require the government to indicate whether the claim is that Mr. Kelly intentionally exposed others or that he willfully exposed others. Okay. All right. I was confused about these two. Okay. This is crazy. So, intentionally expose others or that he willfully exposed others. Isn't intentionally and willfully almost the same things, right? So when I looked it up and I said, oh, yes. Okay. So willfully means with the intention of causing harm deliberately, right? And then the second definition says willfully means with a stubborn and determined intention to do as one wants, regardless of the consequences. So I gather they used willfully to be used in the second term as to being stubborn, as to intentionally do whatever he wants regardless of the consequences, right? And then intentionally means deliberately on purpose. So he did that shit. Point blank, period. Intentionally or willfully, he did them both. He did it both. Okay? Mr. Kelly intentionally exposed others and he willfully exposed others, allegedly. Then Scholar continues to say that further, the defense respectfully requests that the court provide an instruction that the defendant does not act with the intent required pursuant to the statute if the defendant takes or attempts to take practical means to prevent transmission. And in nowhere in any of those testimonies did anybody say he even tried. But that one time that the manager told the girl, here, you want a condom? Since you're complaining, here. Okay? Then the defense also respectfully requests that the court provide an instruction that failure to take practical means to prevent transmission alone is insufficient to prove the intent to transmit a communicable disease. Then it talks about the California Penal Law, sections 2615A and 2615B, and that the state provides statute that an unlawful sexual intercourse is an act of sexual intercourse accomplished with a person who is not the spouse of the perpetrator if the person is a minor. For the purposes of this section, a minor is a person under the age of 18 years, and an adult is the person who is at least 18 years of age. And that B, any person who engages in an act of unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor who is not more than 3 years older or 3 years younger than the perpetrator is guilty of a misdemeanor. California, they consider that a misdemeanor if they're, under the age 3 years younger or older. Then he says that the defense respectfully requests that the court provide the following instruction. Mistake of fact. Okay? And this is reasonable mistake by the defendant as to the age of the minor is a defense. So reasonable mistake by the defendant as to the age of the minor is a defense, right? Remember that Miss Sylvia was talking about the mistake, the age of mistake, because he thought she looked like she was 18, but she was really 16. Okay. So reasonable mistake by the defendant as to the age of the minor is a defense in California. Now, this defense applies if the defendant held a reasonable belief that the minor was at least 18 years old at the time of the sexual intercourse. Now, R. Kelly was already initially having sex with Azriel in April of 2015, right? She was 17 years old. She don't turn 18 till December 31st or 30th. One of those 2 days is her birthday, right? Either the 30th or the 31st is her birthday. Now, that means that at the time when she went to California, they're trying to say that she could have been 18 at the time, or he didn't know that she was 18 at the time, right? Because reasonable mistake is that he didn't know that she was 18, because at the time, originally, he thought for a few months she was 18 already. And then later on, he found out she was really 17. You know what I mean? So, there goes that right there. That's just the example of reasonable mistake as far as age goes. Remember, I talked about that too in my live a couple of, I think last week or something. And then it talks about authority, and the authority is they talk about the case of People versus Hernandez. Okay, and this is a California case. And this case happened in 1964. And it said that with the authority part, it says that there can be no dispute that a criminal intent exists when the perpetrator proceeds with utter disregard of, or in the lack of grounds for, a belief that the female has reached the age of consent. Okay? So they're saying that there could be no dispute that there was a criminal act done because he didn't really know that she, didn't really reach the age of consent. But if he participates in a mutual act of sexual intercourse, believing that his partner to be beyond the age of consent with reasonable grounds for such belief, where is his criminal intent in such circumstances, he has not consciously taken any risk. So instead, he has subjectively eliminated the risk by satisfying himself on reasonable evidence that the crime cannot be committed. So if it occurs that he has been misled, we cannot realistically conclude that for such reason alone, the intent with which he undertook the act suddenly becomes more heinous. So the court in Hernandez reversed the conviction for statutory rape, wherein the complainant was 17 years and 9 months, and the accused had a good faith belief that the complainant was over the age of consent. And then it talks about here in the subparagraph that Judge Sterling Johnson Jr. provided a jury instruction on a good faith defense in the United States versus Menshaw, 19 Criminal 60. And then part 2, it talks about Hernandez was superseded by Statute 2615, only regarding sex with a minor under the age of 14, and that is not applicable to the instant case. Now, they're saying that this is what the verdict sheet should look like. So it says that the defense respectfully requests that the court amend the verdict sheet so that the choices read not guilty, and on the other side, guilty, and on the other side or underneath that should say not proven, or on the opposite side, proven. So it should say not guilty, guilty, and not proven, and proven. So in case if the judge doesn't want to dismiss any of these things, right? At least he'll get a chance by saying not guilty or not proven. You see how slick they are? Smart guys. And they actually are trying to use the defense that Sylvia gave to them. I can't even believe these people are really using a YouTube defense to fight for R. Kelly. Wow. I cannot. Isn't that interesting, guys? Hmm? What do you think of that? So it continues to say that the rationale for such an amendment is obvious, and the defendant is presumed innocent. To require the jury to surrender that presumption to first consider guilt in order to go back to a consideration of whether the defendant is not guilty is confusing, may shift the burden of proof, and denies the defendant the true presumption of innocence. Respectfully submitted, Calvin H. Scholar. Okay, y'all? And that's how that went. So what y'all think of that? Huh? 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 So what do you guys think about that? That was that, guys. That was that. So let's see what you guys are talking about in here. All right, let's go up here. Right, let's see. Okay. Oh, all right, hi. But the plan is to show you that I understand. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me answer my phone. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so, all right, let's see what you guys are saying. The judge is not throwing this out. Nice try. Ain't no harm in wanting. He got something in return. Okay. All right. Okay, we did that. Kelly was standing right there in the courthouse when the ID scheme failed through and McDavid took care of it by offering the bribe. Give me 1 second, guys. The defense is reaching. Yeah. Did y'all hear that Aaliyah was not pregnant? Yeah, they were saying that Aaliyah wasn't pregnant. They were saying that, but we don't really know how true that is. The only one that really knows is her mother. And her mother has a lot to answer for. I'm sorry. I don't agree with that woman at all. Her mother has a lot to answer. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I don't know how much that lady really loved her daughter, but it's weird to me. Yes, he benefited from it. Hmm. Yes, we heard she wasn't pregnant, but he thought she was. Right. He thought she was. Supposedly, she did get her period afterwards. But then there's also stories of her being, there's a child out there. Who knows? You know, this, we will never know the truth. Maybe one day we will. One never knows. Goon! What's up, Goon? I know the story about Aaliyah and Rob, and people don't want the truth out. I've talked to several people in the group. She wasn't pregnant, like I told some people. Hey, Jacqueline Jones. Hello, mommy. What's up, Jackie? Right. Where did you get that emoji? Oh, did you use the emojis? Mommy, you gotta join my club, baby. It's $2 a month. All right, baby. See you in a while, mama. Hey, rocking with the truth. Okay. There you go. The emojis. You have to join the club, mama. You go underneath here, underneath the video, it should say join. Hit join, and it'll tell the instructions and all about it. There's a little perks that I have for now, so you can join the private membership, so that you'll be in the members only club, guys. All right, and I'll drop little things over there, and we'll do private things over there, just us. We'll be in peace and cool atmosphere. Okay, everybody's saying hello. Herpes all around, yeah. Yulita, what's up, mama? Sky! Girl! Mira, mira, mira. Mira, mira. Girl! Listen. I ain't got no real beef with your ass, okay? You know that. Me and you, we could square up 20 times and still shake hands at the end of the day, and I could appreciate that. But you need to do me a big, big favor, mamita. You need to let people know that, the things that I said were not put in the context that they were put in. Like, please, really? Sky, you've been watching me for a long time now, ma. You know what time it is. And you already know that my girls is not feeling you. You know that. You could come around and hang out. Just don't say crazy shit. You already know that shit, man. You already know that, Sky. You act like that was the first time your ass ever got blocked and had to walk around the block a minute. And then I had to take you out of jail and shit. Okay? Okay. Bribery of the state official wasn't committed directly by R. Kelly, but the bribery of the state official indirectly benefited one of the persons that's R. Kelly. Right. Right. So there was a clause in there about that too. That's why I'm saying that's crazy. It's just weird. Oh, who knows? And you know what? Not all of them did. Hey, bro, what's up, Mr. Keen? What's up? Okay, so, all right. The doctor stated RK had herpes in the 90s. So what's your point? Exactly. He had it in the 90s. Right. In what was it, 97 or something like that? He started complaining about it. It was officially. He met the doctor in 94 and then started complaining about the bumps in 97 and then officially was diagnosed in 2007. 10 years later, he was going back and forth being medicated. And then the doctor was like, listen, I just got to put it down that he got it because this is ridiculous. I've been treating this man for over 10 years already for the same thing. And every time he comes back from the same medicine, because obviously it's doing something. But he keeps coming back because he can't control his penis. So, and he's not eating right and he's not taking care of himself. If he took care of himself, he wouldn't have to worry about taking these medicines. He'd be all right. But, he's a rock star, wants to have sex with everybody. That's just what it is. And then he don't want to protect himself. I told him to protect himself. I even told him to tell his girlfriends. He didn't care. So he willfully and intentionally gave them this disease. That's it. That's all. What 49, 50-year-old male wants a teenager, period? Yeah, he could have had any woman in the world. Exactly. Any woman in the world. Hey, you doing a birthday party, mamita? What's up, West Coast Bellas? What's up, ladies? Okay. Denied because R. Kelly benefited from the bribery and willfully. Exactly. Exactly. I hope she don't, let's see what happens. Tú sabes. Yeah, it was weird. You already know the truth. That whole shit was weird. April Showers, why did Timberland wish her happy Mother's Day, then remove it? This is very true. This is weird too. Yeah. Yeah, he sure did. He sure did. I think she was pregnant and I think she had the child because she went off the scene for a period of time. 2 years to be exact. Yes. Yes, ma'am. And then came back and did a video with a 2-year-old little girl in her lap. Go figure that. Yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm going to share my screen with y'all with a little bit of news. You know me, I'm always showing some news. And then I'm going to end this live, okay? I didn't want to hold you guys forever. Not today. Okay. Now. All right. Okay.
Good evening, I'm Yuri Tuwalda, and this is Making the Case. The next phase of R. Kelly's sex trafficking and racketeering trial is set to begin. The prosecution called its last witness today. BNC's Ray Clark is covering today's developments from the federal courthouse in Brooklyn.
The prosecution called its last witness today after nearly 3 full weeks of testimony. Next week, R. Kelly's defense team will begin presenting their case, although they're not expected to take nearly as long as the prosecution. Meanwhile, a woman who testified today said R. Kelly yelled and screamed at her so badly, she had to quit. Cheryl Mack testified she first met singer R. Kelly in 2005. She was a talent manager, and R. Kelly inquired about a singer that was on her roster. She said Kelly.
Good evening, I'm Yuri Tuwalda, and this is Making the Case. The next phase of R. Kelly's sex trafficking and racketeering trial is set to begin. The prosecution called its last witness today. BNC's Ray Clark is covering today's developments from the federal courthouse in Brooklyn.
The prosecution called its last witness today after nearly 3 full weeks of testimony. Next week, R. Kelly's defense team will begin presenting their case, although they're not expected to take nearly as long as the prosecution. Meanwhile, a woman who testified today said R. Kelly yelled and screamed at her so badly, she had to quit. Cheryl Mack testified she first met singer R. Kelly in 2005. She was a talent manager, and R. Kelly inquired about a singer that was on her roster. She said Kelly liked the singer so much that they collaborated on a song that was featured on one of Kelly's albums. Then in 2009, Mack testified she introduced another artist named Precious to Kelly. Kelly and Precious began working together at Kelly's home studio outside of Chicago. Precious was only 17 at the time, and her mother was with her initially in Illinois, but eventually returned back home to Atlanta. Precious stayed at a hotel while recording, and Mack testified she would check in on her. Then Mack broke down crying, recalling how Precious abruptly decided to stop working with Kelly. Mack said Kelly called her saying Precious was planning a sexual harassment lawsuit against him. She testified Kelly was very concerned about the lawsuit because he was preparing to make an appearance at the 2010 World Cup in Africa. She said Kelly told her she needs to pick a side, his or Precious, and that generally in situations like this, people come up missing. Mack said she felt that was a threat. She later recalled signing an affidavit. She said she never read it fully, but she remembers seeing two questions on the affidavit. Did she ever see Kelly give Precious alcohol? And did she ever witness the two having sex? 3 years later, Mack said she agreed to work with Kelly again, this time as his executive assistant. But Mack said one time Kelly made her sign a letter saying she took money from a booking agent on the side. She said she wrote the letter and signed it, but it was 1,000% scripted, and she only wrote everything R. Kelly told her to write. She finally quit in 2015 after she said Kelly yelled and cursed at her for ruining someone's birthday surprise. In New York, I'm Dre Clark for Making the Case.
We'll have more Making the Case after the break.
For more now on this stunning case, we bring in ABC News consultant Brian Bruckmeyer with the Law and Crime Network. Brian, thanks so much for taking the time tonight.
My pleasure.
So we just heard in Michael's piece, Diana Copeland talk about R. Kelly's girlfriends, how they seem to follow a pretty strict set of rules. Cameras aren't allowed in the courtroom, but you and your colleagues have been inside hearing all of the testimony. Take a minute and walk us through the claims that R. Kelly controlled his alleged victims. And do you think Copeland helps or hurts that part of the prosecution's case?
So R. Kelly's accused of almost grooming the women that he's with, or as he calls them, girlfriends. They're not allowed to speak with other men. Some allegations even they can't even look them in the face, wearing baggy clothes and being kept in rooms where they have to knock to exit or not being allowed to leave without permission from either R. Kelly or someone from the staff. And they're talking about the control that he exerted over these women in a way that seems very peculiar, as the defense may call it, because they're saying this is a unique situation with an R&B singer, a king of R&B, as he was called at one point in time. But the prosecution is saying that this is the act of someone who is trying to control women for the purpose of sexual assaults. Now, you listen to Ms. Copeland's testimony, the defense is going to say just that. It's awkward because we're not R. Kelly and we don't treat women this way because we're not famous people. But the prosecution is saying this is sexual assault, so really it's going to come down to the interpretation and who can best tie the facts to their interpretation of those facts.
Brian, you just mentioned control. A psychiatrist testified about how one person can have control over another. And we see that in all aspects of life. But when does it become illegal?
So Dr. Dawn Hughes took the stand today and Friday, actually, and during direct examination, she kind of laid out the difference between just the typical control that may not come about in a non-criminal setting, but also when it gets to be more criminal, how the different ways an accuser can control a victim through grooming, interpersonal violence, instilling fear, separating individuals from their family or support system, and talked about the fact that when someone's under the age of 25, their brain is still developing, and so they're more susceptible to this form of control. Now, when you take that control plus exerting sexual assault on that individual, especially when they're under the age of 18, that's when it becomes criminal. And going back to what Ms. Copeland said, tying the psychiatrist's testimony with Ms. Copeland's testimony, that is what I think the prosecution is going to win at the end of the day, to show this isn't just bizarre because he's famous. This is bizarre because he's sexually abusing these women.
Copeland also told Michael Strahan that she did not witness R. Kelly with any underage girls, but she did acknowledge that her experience doesn't negate anyone else's. He's charged at the heart of this case with sex with minors. Tell us how strong that evidence and testimony has been so far.
I think that's a done deal for the prosecution. They've won it already. I think it's very obvious that these women are going to be found credible and that the allegations of him having sex with underage women is going to win the day. I think the only thing the defense can really do is argue that there was no enterprise for the purpose of that sex. They might try to attack this case from a very technical standpoint from RICO charges, but other than that, I think any argument that R. Kelly had sex with underage girls is a losing one for the defense.
There have been so many strange and shocking allegations. You have taken us through this trial so far. For you, what has been the most alarming thing you've heard there in the courtroom?
It was when Lewis, the first John Doe, testified about being brought into this detached garage that had a boxing ring in it. And he talked about R. Kelly snapping his fingers twice and a nude woman coming from underneath that boxing ring and sexually giving sexual acts both to Lewis, that's not his real name, but that's what he testified under, and R. Kelly after R. Kelly made sexual advances onto Lewis. Just a whole array of facts as to how that played out blew my mind as I sat there in the court.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how to really respond to that. So many people hear the details of this case, and I think that's why people can't look away from it. Just quickly, you don't have a crystal ball. Let's step back. You seem pretty sure that he's going to be convicted on some of those charges. We haven't heard all the defense arguments yet, so we have to put a caveat there. But does it look like R. Kelly's going to get convicted? And if so, how many and what crimes do you think?
So a lot of the sexual charges are underlying charges to the main ones being the RICO charges, the racketeering, and the Mann Act charges. The Mann Act is moving an individual across state lines for the purpose of sexual activity, or it's a very old statute, it's called debauchery as well. I don't think the defense is too concerned about those charges because they're very low charges in terms of sentencing. And so I think he will be convicted of that. I do think the defense has a very technical argument to say that this was not an enterprise, and they may, if they walk that tightrope, to say R. Kelly did commit these crimes, but in his personal life, not as an enterprise, they may, and I stress, they may beat some or a few of the RICO charges, but the evidence is so damning as to the sexual acts and some of the very, for lack of a better term, disgusting acts that the jury is going to hear. But I think that technical argument may fall on deaf ears.
Really difficult testimony to have to listen to, but we do appreciate you doing it and taking us through it. Brian Buckmeyer, thank you so much.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play a little bit of this content. We miss this brother dearly. We haven't heard from him in a while. I just saw this today, and it bugged me out because I didn't even get a notification about it. I did not get a notification about it. But look who I found, guys. Look who I found. Who's that? Who's that, y'all? Who's that guy over there? Who's that guy on the left side? Who is that guy on the left? Can anybody put it in the chat? Who's that man on the left? Who's that? Levi. Uncle Levi. Hey, Ruby. What's up, mama? What's up, Yulita? Samara. Hi, baby. Okay. Levi. Where you been at, Levi? Levi. Where you been at, Uncle Levi? What's up with Levi? Levi. Don't strike me now, okay? We love Levi over here. Yeah, he's the younger, older version of R. Kelly. I'm going to play this clip a little bit, and then I want you guys to go follow Levi. I'm going to put his video in the chat, guys. If you are not subscribed to Uncle Levi, go subscribe to Uncle Levi, guys. Boom, there it is. Go subscribe to Uncle Levi, please. Thank you. I don't know, but the title of his video says that R. Kelly's cousin got Tasha K busted. He said he got Tasha K busted. Let's just play a couple of minutes of it, and then you guys could go watch the rest of it on your own.
Welcome back to Levi for Kelly, where the game is to be sold, not told. I've been receiving a lot of emails, correspondence, people asking me to speak on this whole Tasha K fiasco as far as the wiretaps and all of my cousin's communications for a certain period being divulged and either, I don't know, sold or given to Tasha. And I'm going to speak on it.
Ruby.
Enjoy the video. Please subscribe. Hit the like button if you can, please. And those who continue and choose to contribute to my work, to Levi for Kelly, I greatly appreciate it. You'll see my Cash App on the screen or whatever. If you choose to, if you don't, it's all good because it's all love regardless. You heard me? All right, enjoy the video and check this out, man, because it's going to be something that you have never heard and is very informative, very insightful. You feel me? I love y'all. Check out the video. Oh, and check out the preview. Then check out the video after the preview. Word. Make it clear and plain and simple. If a person who is incarcerated, now we're speaking on the federal level, and that's the beauty of this, is that there's no wiggle room. We're at the top of the ceiling now because we're talking about federal laws. If a person who is in federal custody, people, gets on the phone, as he has done, and speaks any words that can incriminate him to the extent that it can solidify the charges that were placed against him, federal charges, or it can cause them to bring more charges based on what that person says in his communications over the phone inside of the MCC. If his speech, the things that he say or someone else says in their conversations with him or conversation, if that can produce more charges for him, or if that can incriminate him in such a way that the charges that are already established, now he's definitely going to be convicted because we got him on the phone talking about something that he shouldn't even known about if he wasn't guilty of that. See, don't listen to these people, y'all, that try to explain this and don't know what the hell they talking about. You listen to someone who has been trained in this.
Levi's trained.
If I'm gonna talk some straight talk today.
Oh,
straight talk.
shit.
You understand? Where my damn cigarette?
You feel me?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk some straight talk today, y'all.
What happened, Levi? What happened? Tell us,
and
Levi.
I got my cigar. I'm just chilling. You feel me? It's like 6 a.m. where I'm at. You heard me? Listen, I'm gonna talk some straight talk today.
I don't know, Levi. Why you not at court?
And with my cousin and the breach in federal security as it pertains to what took place in the MCC. I'm going to talk about all of that, and I'm going to address certain individuals. And I'm going to speak it direct because it's time. It's time. I get a lot of, shout out to all of the true, sincere ones, all of the true, sincere subscribers and those who tune into my channel. And I know a lot of y'all, you'll comment or you'll email me and you'll ask me like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And where you at? You feel me? And I appreciate that. All the sincere.
Where you at, Levi?
However, I'm just the kind of person, understand this, y'all. I'm from a city called Detroit. And my city, there are those who were in the higher upper echelon who raised me. I was outside early, but as time progressed, I was outside, and then I had an opportunity to go up top. You feel me? A lot of niggas say I'm outside. We've been outside since no. Have you been up top though?
We found Levi. We found Levi.
I spent a lot of my years up top with the OGs looking down. Let me show you something. It's a difference. Being outside, then you have outside, which I was, and up top. So I say that to say, when I speak, it's spoken. I was raised to speak softly, walk softly, but carry a big stick. You understand? All of the reckless speech and all of the slick talk I've been hearing about Levi, yo, listen, bro, listen, this is real with me. And each and every one of you who choose to engage in slick talk and reckless speech about Levi, you've been doing it for, 2.5 years plus. That's cool, though. Because I come from a city where we allow you to do that. I'm about to talk about Tasha K, but I want to explain this. Lay this foundation for y'all. I come from a city where we allow you to do that. That's cool. Do what you do. You understand? That's our moniker. That's our slogan. Do what you do. However, we only have one prerequisite. While you do what you do and say what you say, we have only one pre-requirement. Do what you do, say what you say. But that pre-request is simple. Just don't get amnesia. You understand? I'm gonna say it again.
Don't get amnesia,
y'all.
y'all.
Do what you do, say what you say, all the slick talk, all the reckless speech about Levi. He's not his cousin, the fake cousin, the this, the that, the death threats that I've received. Motherfuckers talking about, I knew of cases where your family members had to get touched because you were on the run, nigga. Listen, whenever you see us running, I'm from a city where wherever you see us running, whenever you see us running, and wherever you see us running, we're not running from.
We in church now, y'all.
We're running to. You understand? I'm going to say that again because y'all got to understand Levi. I'm from a city where whenever you see a nigga like me running, I'm never running from. I'm running towards your ass. Trust me. I was 15 years old at the store at the damn, where they have the drinks and stuff like that. About to get a soda. When I walked out of that store, I stood at that damn, that cooler for about 5 minutes trying to see what I would get. When I walked out of that store with my OG, about 2 days later, my OG said, come holler at me. My OG said, I saw you standing at that cooler for 5 minutes trying to decide what soda you were going to get.
Uncle Levi is now talking about soda and shit. And what kind of soda you gonna decide to get? Uncle Levi. Yo, you be doing your sermon still? You feel me? No, man. No, man. That shit is funny. He's always with his church sermons, long sermons, walks around the point 80,000 times, and then gets to the point 8 hours later. He done got you dizzy with stories and everything else. But we love you, Uncle Levi. We love you, cuz. What's up, cuz? Well, guys, that was the end of my show. I love y'all. Peace, love, and hair grease. Please do me the biggest favor in the world. Y'all already know. Hit that like button, please. Thank you. Love you much. Y'all already know. Y'all can hit y'all girl up. Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, you name it. Thanks for coming, guys. So that was the end of that. The defense team said what they said. Now we're going to wait to see what happens. Either the government is going to respond tonight, tomorrow, or maybe even Monday, and we'll find out what happens then if they even bring it up. Thank you very much. If you guys have any comments or anything to say and you're watching the replay, please make sure you drop your comments below in the video. Thank you very much. And that is all for tonight. Love y'all. Peace.